Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kid Lee. A couple of times during my earlier videos, I have randomly clicked on or shown different things. And every once in a while, down below the video, I'll get a little comment saying, "Hey, I didn't know that was in the game. That was really cool." So I thought it was time to do a quick little guide of the actual options menu. So we're going to start with controls and work our way down, and I'm basically just going to go through this, showing off a few things that hopefully you guys didn't know about. So under General, we'll go ahead and start out with the top two here, which are sort of interconnected. We've got the Auto Loot on right-click and the Enable Area Loot. And basically what this is, if you don't have it on, when you kill somebody and you get that colored stream coming out of them, without these options enabled, you have to basically go through every kill or every dead body and manually loot everything. So if you have these on, you'll be able to simply click on one thing and it will loot the entire area for you automatically. So this is really super nice, and I highly recommend that you have it on. Below that, we've got the Deselect target upon clicking on the terrain. This is a huge one for me. Every MMO had better have this. If it does not, I get a little mad. Because with this deselected, you know, you are able to tab target, or you click on a target, you know, you're shooting them, killing them, whatever. And that target is always going to remain in your reticle. And it's really super annoying. So you simply have this on, and you can click on something, target something, or whatever, click on the ground, and it will clear it out for you. It's very, very nice. This option over here, the Auto Target Closest Enemy, I personally recommend that you have it off, because it seems like when you're running in a group, you always get that one person who's where you're pulling a pack of mobs, and then they accidentally pull another set because they have auto-targeting on, and they're like, "Oops, sorry guys, I didn't mean to do that." Unless you really think you need it, just turn it off, guys. Just turn it off. Tab targeting is good enough. We're going to take a look at this one here, and I don't recall what this is by default, but it's the request for companions to gather stuff. I like to have it on right-click rather than shift right-click or disable, and I'll actually give you an example on why. So, actually, let me bring out a companion here that might help. So we've got Kaleo here, and it's like, oh, there's a junk pile over there. So Kaleo, I want you to go get that. So I clicked on it. She's gonna run over and get it. And while she's doing that, I can actually come over here, and I thought there was another one over here. Somebody might have just, oh, here it is. And I could actually grab this one, so we could each be gathering at the same time. And I actually didn't do it quick enough, so she's already back. But if you do it quick enough, you can both be gathering resources at the same time. Now, here's a little trick if you didn't know. For some reason, let's say I want to gather this, but I don't want the companion to do it. I want my character to do it. Even though I have the right-click feature enabled, if I shift right-click, as you can see here, my guy does it instead of my companion. So that's just something to know if you didn't know. So let's go back into the options here. Let's see. Some of this stuff we don't really need to mess with. The camera stuff, the mouse. If you want to invert your mouse, go right ahead and do so. Under combat, there's the ability action queue window. You can actually change the timer on that if you want to do so. You can take it from 0 to 1. I keep mine on 0.5. And I think we can go ahead and switch over to fly text. By default, I believe all of this is on. And it's generally recommended that you do indeed keep it all on. And this is just as you're attacking someone, it's all of that number detail that you see sort of flying above the enemy head. If for some reason you would want to disable some of this, this is the place to do so. Under combat logging, there's not too much here. If you're using a parsing program of some description, you do indeed want to have this one on, and this is the Enable Combat Logging to File. Under sound, there's not really too much to mess with here. You can actually see how I have my sounds or my sound levels set for when I'm doing videos. This particular video, I do about 9% and then 70% on the music. When I'm streaming, I'll have everything at 10, except for voice, I have it 20. In my other videos, such as like the smuggler video that I'm doing right now, if everybody's watching this on time, I actually have everything at 100%, and I'm recording my voice separately using a completely different program. As far as chat, a couple things to note here. If for some reason you'd want to actually turn off general chat or PvP chat or trade chat, you can actually come in here and disable these. Here's the profanity filter. I believe this is on by default, so if you want to see the swear words, you can go ahead and turn that off. This is kind of interesting. This is the chat panel alpha. Let me actually turn mine back on. If you have it set to 0, it looks like how I have mine now. So you can basically see the words, and everything else is just background. But if I were to turn it back up to 100%, hit apply, you can see what it did there. So the big blue background and the actual thing where it says guild and your line and all that reappears. So for me, I like to keep things as hidden as possible, so I'll take the 0% on that. For user interface, let's see, is there anything in here that is a secret? The enable cover bar is one thing that I accidentally showed during that smuggler series, and people were like, oh cool, I had no idea you could do that. So I went ahead and turned it on, which it is on by default. And the cover bar, it does this. So when I enter cover, if you look at my bar, you can see a new bar actually appears whenever you go into cover. Personally, I don't like that. I don't want to have to manage yet another bar. So I keep that disabled, so whenever I go into cover, as you can see, nothing changes. It's just one bar. So that is cool stuff for me. If you'd want to disable the show phase indicator, you could do that. There's tutorial stuff in here. The purchase warning, if you wanted to get rid of that, here's that option. Under conversation, there's a couple of interesting ones. And I want to say these are off by default. Don't quote me on that. But you've got the show conversation alignment game on mouse over and the show conversation alignment gain. So when you're in a conversation and you want to see the light side, dark side options, if you turn everything off, it's going to be a mystery. But if you turn these bottom two on, then you'll clearly get an indication that a conversation option is light side or dark side. Down here under map, there's a bunch of stuff. The couple that I will point out is the map fades while moving and the map flashes red while being attacked. Now personally, the map fading, I like that off because there's a lot of times where I like to auto run and I'll say, oh, let's take a look at the map here real quick. As you can see, the map stays right in front of you. It stays very clear. But if we were to go into that option, turn it on, start auto running and bring up the map, you can see it fades. It's much, much harder to read. So that is not cool in my book. And then the map flashes to red. I'll show you that if you've never seen it. So I'll just come over here and just pick on these guys here. I'll go to the map here and you can see how it's flashing red. So that's your indication of you are under attack. Cleo, take care of these noobs. Thank you. Okay, what else do we have here? I'm looking for just the really interesting things. You know, you can show the map notes for untracked missions, fade the world, map slides, the magnifying glass enabled all the time, exterior map to default to the world map if you wanted to do so. Group mission map notes, you can change that to different things. All missions, bonus missions only, or no group missions. Under Tooltips, there's a big selection here, and actually there's some really interesting ones in here. And again, I think some of these are actually turned off by default. The big one here is the Show Detailed Item Tooltips, and then the Enable Companion Comparison, and then the Enable Stat Summarization. So let me turn these three off for just a minute, and I will show you what it looks like. Let me disable the chat box here. And again, I think these are turned off by default. So when you hover over an item, it looks like this. So it says I've got 24 endurance, 17 cunning, 9 power, and you can see that I've got an armoring, a mod, and an enhancement. And if I actually want to get into those 3 blue items, I have to control right-click. It brings up this screen, and it then gives me the detailed information on those 3 items. And then the other thing that it will do, and if I actually hover over this gun here, you can see it will compare the item in my inventory with what I'm currently equipped. So just the inventory and my character, that's it. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's go back in here. And we're going to turn all of that back on here. Boom, boom, boom. Now, if we go into the character, you can see the difference. So the armoring, mod, and enhancement stats are just right there. I don't have to go into something else in order to get the stats. And then number 2 on that is if I go back to my inventory and take a look at that gun, it now shows Kaleo's weapon, my companion's weapon, along with mine. So even more information. So yes, I highly recommend that you turn those on, because more information is generally good. Let's see, is there anything else in here we need to look at? Operation frames, if you need to mess with that. Cooldown settings, we can talk about this a little bit, because this is actually something fairly new. And when I say fairly new, I want to say maybe the last 6 months. So show flash, or show ready flash, show global cooldown ready flash, and you can actually choose from different styles. So you might say, well, what are you talking about here? What is this? So let me get rid of my companion here for a second. And let's find something to kill. And I think the people leveling in this area have just managed to... Oh, here's something. Okay, I'm going to throw my grenade at these guys, which is right here. The Fragmentation Grenade. Now, I want you to watch what happens after I fire it. You can see there's a bar that's slowly going down, and then boom, there's a little bit of flash. That's what those options do. It's basically saying, alright, the cooldown's almost up, and boom, you can use it. So that's a neat little thing they added. And you can mess around with the different styles. You can actually get that to do slightly different things. So it's pretty cool. Alright, what else do we have? Cartel market, character customization, planetary conquest. I don't think there's anything else under there. Under graphics, I don't think there's really too much that I can say about this. You just try and run as high as you possibly can without lagging yourself out. I am maxed out on everything except for shadows. I'm running that at medium, and that is simply because it can lag out during the raids sometimes. Try that again. If you're having issues running the game, I would recommend taking, shadows down as low as you can, taking bloom off. Those are probably the 2 biggest things. And then from there, just trying to whittle the rest of these down as low or as high as you can possibly take them. Got some stuff for Galactic Starfighter here. We won't mess with those. Under social, there's a couple of interesting items here. One, there's this item right here, which is the allow access to same class / personal phase. And what this is if you're running with a friend and you both happen to be the same class, you can enable this, which will allow both of you to enter in the same phase, and you can help each other out with the class missions. Now, you will have to do it twice. That's something that they, unfortunately, have not done yet. But at least this option allows you to even, go in and help them. Without it, you can't even enter at all. You're both entering your own phases, and that's all you can do. There's a couple options under ignore here. People have said, you know, I wish people would stop sending me those guild invites or group invites or whatever. You can actually come in here and auto-ignore your guild invites or group invites or trade invites or whatever you wish. And then under nameplates here, I think most of this is pretty self-explanatory. Whether you want stuff on yourself, your enemies, your friends, your companions, all that fun stuff. The one thing I will point out is this one right here. The always show class symbol. I believe this is on by default. And in case you're unaware, if I click on my guy, or if you're on the fleet, you'll notice these little goofy symbols above everybody. I don't know if there's another player around here that I can actually demonstrate that. But nonetheless, if you don't like that symbol, if you want it gone, you can disable it, which I have done, because I don't need to see that. But I think that pretty much covers all the crazy stuff that I can think of in the interface or in the options menu. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.